Hello and welcome to the first video in our RD350 series, and like I promised to you in the introductory video that we'll be telling you all about the Rajdoot 350, the Indian 350, and of course we'll be covering the bike in its entirety, and this video will talk about its how this bike was conceptualized. We will take you back to before 1983. So until now you would have always read or heard about the RD350 starting in the Indian context, starting from 1983. We'll take you prior to that, and we'll be talking about how this was conceptualized, and also we'll be breaking the biggest myth of them all, that until now all auto journalists in the past 2-3 decades have said that our RD350 was nothing but just a detuned version of the RD350B that had 39 PS, and we just and of course so our bike lacked power and the disc brake was not given to us. So according to all auto journalists, there is no exception. Okay, the RD350B minus the disc brake, minus a few horses, well, almost 8.5 of them, okay, was the Indian RD350. Let me tell you, our RD350, right away, right off the bat, let me tell you that our RD350 was not based on the RD350B. And of course, this is not just a statement, we'll be backing it with evidence. So Gautam bhai, you know what, the first question: how did India got to see this legend, the RD350?
Okay, so we'll have to wind the clock a bit and look at when the agreement was done and what at that time what Yamaha had there on the design books. Even just looking at Yamaha's website, as Indian Yamaha websites, you will see that the agreement, the joint venture between the Escorts group and Yamaha had happened around 1979.
1979.
Typically, it takes 3 to 4 years for a product to be fully developed and launched. That's industry standard, whether it may be 2-wheeler, 3-wheeler, 4-wheeler, or commercial vehicles. Generally, 3 to 4 years. Okay. And now here we are talking about something which had never been produced in India. So obviously, we heavily relied on the existing setup and existing experience of an OEM which could be used. So I'm sure, like any reasonable shopper, Escort would have looked around what about the vehicles were available back then which could fit into our price bracket and could give that reliability and performance which Escort thought
would have envisioned.
Correct.
That right now we do not really have a performance motorcycle. Okay, so we need to have a performance motorcycle, and of course RD was a big name globally back then.
Yes, it was Yamaha were doing quite well in racing scenario, they had the performance to back up their statement, and they had the reliability and quality as well, and they were I would say quite a bit ahead back then compared to Suzuki and Kawasaki. Their engine development, they had solid engineering. Hence why, as an OEM, they did a lot of engine development for other companies too. So Yamaha engines were beautifully designed. So then it was kind of an obvious choice for Escorts to go ahead and
zero in on the RD350.
Zero in on with Yamaha on a project, RD350. Looking at the silhouette of our bike, if you look at the shadow and draw the line outside, it's called silhouette. It appears to be RD350B because of the decals and a large tank. But when you start looking into details, as they say, the famous cliche, the devil is in the detail, then you get to know layer by layer. In fact, nothing is carryover. Everything has been tempered and modified to suit our market. So what we will do, we will start from the front till the back, and then that will self-explain how this is not a 350B.
Yes.
Is that okay?
In fact, Gautam bhai, I think right now it is imperative that we again enlighten our viewers, okay, by telling them that the US RD350B was not really a 350B.
Yes.
Okay, so the European RD350B was the actual 350B, and Gautam Bhai will shed more light on it.
Yeah.
And then we'll continue and tell you, how was our bike different to all these three motorcycles.
Yes.
The A, the American A, the A. In fact, did Europe have the A?
Yes.
So the A was similar or was the same bike.
They were the same bike.
So A of RD350, 1973 RD350 everywhere. 1973 RD350 A was the same bike in the US and in the UK. The 1975 RD350B the US RD and the UK RD were different motorcycles.
Yes.
Okay, and so the RD350B of US was basically the RD350A of 1973
Carryover.
with RD350 UK RD350B's tank.
Some content.
Let's put it
But
that
if
way.
you
It
look
will
at-
be a long video.
If you look
otherwise.
at the part catalog, still, if not all parts, start with 360 prefix, which in a way proves that US 350B was nothing but a remodded 350A.
Great.
Yeah.
In fact, so we'll be referring to these numbers in the entire series. So it's imperative that you take a pen and paper and note it down.
Yeah.
So 1973 RD350, the model code was 360. 1975 RD350B of US, the model code was again 360. And the UK RD350B was the actual RD350B and the model code was 521. Right now, let me just quickly add, and I'm sure this is something that most of you would be aware of already. The Indian RD350 code was 1A1, and there was one more RD which had the model code 1A1. Gautam bhai, please tell our viewers which model was that.
So it was the American RD, produced from 1976 to 1978. It had a model code 1A1.
RD400.
Yeah. 1978. The point to note is that we went in agreement in 1979, and 1978 Yamaha RD400 was in production. So it kind of makes sense that whenever you will develop a bike, you will most likely end up using the fresh plot, which is used for the most recent bike.
Yes.
And probably that is the reason why that Yamaha chose the model code 1A1, which was in line with the 400.
Makes sense.
Not 360, not 521,
521, but
rather
1A1.
Yes.
Yes.
And we got the 1A1, which had no bearing with the RD350, no connection, rather RD400.
RD400.
And that too RD400E. And we will see some evidences why I make that claim, but as we go through some of the details. But yeah.
Great. So why wait then, Gautam bhai? Let's tell our viewers
Yes.
what does our bike have in common with the A, B, and 400.
Yes. So where shall we start? So okay.
From headlight till the end.
Okay, that would be far easier. So let's start with the front end. The front end is derived from YR5 motorcycle, and however, if you think of installing the front end of YR5, you will see that there is a mismatch.
Gautam bhai, for the benefit of our viewers, please break it down. What components are you referring to when you say the front end?
Yes. So the front end comprises the drum brake and the drum brake assembly front forks. So the basic drum was a carryover from RD250A YR5. However, many components around the drum were modified to suit Indian bike. And the forks, very important, where people downgrade to 360, which is
downgrade to hear it. I want this to be loud and clear.
Yeah.
So when Gautam bhai says downgrade to US spec, so yes, he's using the word downgrade.
Yeah.
As you learn in this video, our RD350's fork was superior.
Yes.
Yes.
It was superior than 360 because it had internals of 400. It had a development of 5-6 years added to it.
Yes.
However, people do it because they don't have disc brake lugs and they like the front end look of 350A, B, hence why they go for it. But for your kind information, you're downgrading the front suspension. If that is important to you, the rebound, the compression,
Yes.
the front end, what it is supposed to do, you're better off staying with the front
Stock.
end you have.
Indian RD.
Yes, and
And if you are a poser, you want that look. So you know what? I have an American RD. Yeah, please go. Please continue.
you might as well fit a Buell front end into this RD, which has a parametric disc brake. No one has done it, but it'll be a nice thing to see.
Of course.
Okay, so moving on, the headlight beam is 350AB in US had a sealed beam, means that the filament was integral part of it. However, we needed a replacement bulb, obviously. So it was Toyota headlamp, but the bowl was 400 inspired. It had 2 clearance for speedo cables, so does 400. 360 is a smooth bowl, headlight bowl. If you take 360 and try to fit it on Indian RD with the stock meters, you will see I've all of a sudden lost the clearance to the cables.
All right.
So our headlight beam assembly is customized for Indian usage.
All right.
Anyone could say speedometers are too apparent. Let's not talk about speedometers. The triple tree, I would say the triple tree is still, you can see casting features from front disc brakes. So there is a hydraulic switch for the brake lamp, which is mounted on the lower triple tree. You take any Indian RD, you will see that the cast features for M6 fasteners for that switch is there, suggesting that the tool, at least if nothing, the tool is carryover from 350AB.
Okay.
Okay. However, it's not been machined because in India we had drum brakes.
Yes.
So that brings you closer to 360, 521, but still it has been modified for Indian market.
All right.
Okay, when we go to petrol tank, it's been inspired by 315 EUB and potentially USB for the size of it. However, heavily modified 400 caps. Petrol cap is 400.
Okay.
The fuel tap is 400 LC inspired.
All right. All right.
And it's no relation with 350
A&B.
and they had a completely different tap, and the cap was in fact carryover to RX100. Same petrol cap. It is a 400 cap basically, straight fit. 400 cap, and then going down from there, the head, as we discussed earlier in some of the videos we decided to discuss, that we will be producing a video on that. The head is A head. It's not, unfortunately, it's not a B head.
Yes.
But again, it has been produced in India, and it has holes, and the spark plug reach is smaller, so it is A. When we come to barrel, it's not A, it's not B. Starting point, the outer appearance and the casting looks like AB. However, the ports are different. So both the exhaust
and we will be making a video on this as well, wherein we will be providing a lot more information. So just to give you a glimpse of it, people talk about the exhaust port height. People when they compare the barrels, they would always compare the exhaust port heights. No one talks about the transfers.
Yes.
We'll be talking about that as well. So just a quick summary. The barrels, were absolutely unique.
Yes.
Great. Yeah. Please continue.
So from there we come down to
the crank.
Crank. But before that, I would love to talk about the pistons. They were straight carryover from 400. 360 and 521 had dikes. And dikes were known in the industry to be nasty. And Yamaha discontinued dikes after 1975.
Yes.
So obviously we got the 1A1 piston, which were keystone type rings and cast iron rings, and basically it's a carryover 400. And from there, before I digress into other things, the reed valves are again 400, and there are companies which are trying to sell Indian customers a dual rate reed valve. FYI, you already have a dual rate reed valve, so be mindful before changing it. You are wasting money.
Exactly.
Because we have a superior 400 reed valves. the 360521 reed valves were both reeds were same. So we got the RD400 reed valve. Carburetors are superior on Indian. We'll make a video on that.
Yes.
It's a unique
Yes.
carburetor. It's not carryover from 360521. And then crankcase is a carryover B because A had casting inserts, steel inserts for the crank bearings. If you open a 350A crankcase, you will see it's steel inserts. You can clearly see there are steel inserts which grab the crank bearing.
All right.
Yamaha got rid of that. So crankcase is from 350B.
521.
521.
Yes,
But
yes,
it doesn't say 521, it says 278 minus the insert, so it's a dedicated crankcase. It's neither 521, it's neither 360, it's 278 because it says 278, doesn't say 521 or 360 in the crankcase. So it's a dedicated, later on dedicated crankcase which was used in various other vehicles as a service. You know, so it's a unique crankcase on its own says.
All right.
It's not 350B. Even see, I'll tell you something here. The 350B might as well you'll be using 278. Yamaha didn't bother to change the part number because essentially the crankcase was same.
Okay.
However, we lost the inserts. So and B lost the inserts. Okay, so there is similarity. The B didn't have inserts and our crankcase didn't have inserts.
When you say the B did not have inserts, you're talking about the 521.
521.
Yeah.
So
the 360 had inserts.
they had inserts. At some point, they might have lost it, but I haven't seen it.
All right.
Okay,
All right. But then for
clearly
sure,
our bike.
All right.
Our bike doesn't have it.
All right.
Okay, and then we go back to the gearbox. Again, we roll back to A.
Yes.
We didn't get B.
Again, this is the major link, Gautam bhai.
Yeah.
That again, people who are saying that our RD is just the US RD minus the disc brake and minus a few horsepower.
Yes.
Again, that proves that statement is highly incorrect.
Yeah.
Because like you'll just mention, like you'll elaborate, the gearbox was completely different. We got the 73 RD's gearbox.
Yes.
And which was of course the 360
Yeah.
and not the B's gearbox.
Yes, which had different ratios, and that was for a very small market, as we know, 5-1. Then we go back to clutch.
Gautam bhai, there is one thing that we would want to add. That close ratio gearbox,
Yes.
okay, which we never got,
Yes.
that remained in
Production till the end.
all
Those ratios.
throughout.
Yes.
The gearbox ratios were never changed. Those gearbox ratios remained unchanged until the final RD was produced.
Yes. So yeah, and unfortunately or fortunately, you could say we never got that. However, our gearbox offers a slightly better low and top.
Okay.
So probably that could be the reason it had been put in a bike.
I'm happy, Gautam bhai, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I honestly, in the last almost 2 decades, I would say that I never thought that honestly my gearbox could have been better. I'm absolutely satisfied with my gearbox.
Yes.
And I'm sure so are you.
Yeah, definitely. We don't feel the need on road, especially because
Yes.
seldom anyone takes Indian RD350 on track.
Yes.
And where you will feel that there is a discrepancy or there is a gap between certain gears.
True. And again, if in future we would definitely make a separate I would say a track RD.
Yeah. By all means, you can get a B box and then or a later box and just block it onto the RD engine. Then let's move on to the clutch. The clutch was RD400 inspired. It was not 360-521 clutch. And then next to it is the oil pump. Oil pump is dedicated for India, more common with RX100 than 360 and 521. It doesn't have a priming wheel. It had the 1A0 RD250E pulley for oil calibration. Oil calibration. So from there we move on to generator. There would be a video to it.
Oh, this would be an amazing video.
Yes,
Okay, the one on the generator.
Correct. It's dedicated. Yamaha had never used that generator in any other bike.
All right.
So
let me just stop you right there, Gautam bhai. If you heard that, let me still reiterate it. This, okay, the RD generator, Yamaha had never used this in any of their motorcycles. So this, is specific to our RD350, the Rajdoot 350.
Yeah. So 360-521 had Mitsubishi generator.
Yeah.
And
those were alternators rather.
Rather alternators, and this is Kokuzan's design, which had been shoehorned in our bike.
All right.
So and the electrical distribution system, the EDS of the whole bike was dedicated for India. It had no connection with any other motorcycles because of this unique nature of the generator. So we didn't get the semi-solid state rectifier and regulation system.
Sure.
Then from there we move on to, we talked about the carburetors.
So we've reached the generator. I think we can now move to the footrest, which are close.
Yes, well, the footrest is another great story. That makes the chassis unique for India.
Yes.
Yamaha knew, so did customers knew that the underhung footrest was a great idea.
Like if we have in the RX100.
Yes. It wasn't a great idea, but because RD is little wider, so the chances of footrest touching the ground during the extreme lean conditions is much higher, and it might throw you off the bike.
Yes.
So Yamaha decided that India should get the 400E. So it's a straight carryover. You can swap parts. The footrest, the hangers, everything is 400. So they welded the lugs and got rid of the 365-21 underslung footrest, and that also meant complete redesign of exhaust.
Yes.
In terms of the taper angle, in terms of the bent pipe. So although we will have a separate video on exhaust, that exhaust had a lot of similarities, but it has a lot of uniqueness as well for India.
Yes.
So if you try to fit a US exhaust on Indian RD, you have to do some good amount of modification to do that.
Yes.
And then we move on to the airbox. Initial airbox was on HDs was imported from Japan. However, soon Escort realized that it needed calibration. So they put 2 large holes for Indian HD and 4 holes in total for LT. So airbox and the lid was different as well. The air intake lid had a recess on them. American RDs
they don't have a recess, right? Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Now we come to the battery. Battery is a carryover 5.5 amp, which we could confidently say. But the battery tray, again, since it lost the RR unit, rectifier regulator, which used to hang below the battery case, we got rid of it. So the battery tray is unique. From there we move on to rear mudguard. Rear mudguard, which we could comfortably say is the one which had been least tampered. There was nothing to tamper. So it has a lot of commonality with A and B. You can still comfortably fit the A and B mudguard. The chain cover, is dedicated for India. When you look at the front of the chain cover where it has an attachment for the dust flap, it makes it unique. But that doesn't stop you from fitting A and B chain cover. So as we move to the rear end, it is becoming calmer. However, there are things like there is a, I don't know what holder that is. There is a clip over the mudguard on the Indian bike where they stick the fuse below, and everyone says the fuse holder, but the fuse is too small for that clip. Some say that there was a funnel provided to put oil in the bike. How many times you put oil in a bike that you need a plastic funnel?
Exactly.
Seat design is unique to the bike.
Okay.
Very much so, and but it still had a document holder for the under the seat, which will be also seen on A and B.
Yeah.
The rear seat pads on US, American, and European RDs, there is a single seat pad because they don't do pillion and tripling like we do, unfortunately. So Escort put 2 rubbers so that even if there is a heavy pillion sitting at the back, it will not deform the seat plate.
Wow.
So if
I used to think that those 2 rubbers are
yeah. So if you are retrofitting a US seat, for most comfort, you might do yourself a favor by getting rid of that one single rubber in the middle. or just add 2 more rubbers so that
True.
your pillion would be happier.
Yes.
And
the front mudguard, Gautam bhai,
the
that's,
front mudguard is unique. I
Is
think,
ab- yeah.
yeah, it's unique. It's never been.
Yeah,
I think we just quickly touch based on
yes,
that.
yes.
Uh,
So yeah, that's unique as well.
That's
Again.
unique as
Yes.
well. The switch gears, the clusters are
The
unique.
cluster
It
is
is more
unique.
towards Rajdoot than towards Yamaha
Yes,
because it
yes.
doesn't have independent yokes.
Yes.
And the infamous steering damper, which people go to such an extent to fit the steering damper of 350 AB underneath the triple tree,
Yes.
is completely useless.
Not
You
needed at
never
all.
got it. It's not needed. Don't waste your money. You were not gonna gain anything apart from visual appeal.
Yes.
Then we move on to the rear end. The tail lamp assembly is US. UK had a different tail lamp.
Yes.
Germany had a different tail lamp
Yes.
assembly. So,
When you talk about Germany, I think this is the right time to mention
The
those
German
wider
RD.
rims. Yes, the German RD.
the German RD had some uniqueness. Say for instance, they were the ones who were lucky to get the wider 2.15 rims. Remember when CBZ was launched,
Yes.
everyone was so happy about to see wider
Yeah,
tires
yes,
on CBZ.
yes,
I think
yes.
it was the first bike.
Yeah.
That was RD's rear for Germany. I mean, imagine if we would have got that. It
Wow.
would have been such a big
Such
deal.
a big thing. Such a
Before
big thing.
CBZ,
Yes.
but Germans
Yeah.
got their front was 1.85, which is basically our rear red,
Mhm.
and the rear was 2.15, and the rear tail lamp assembly is indicator mounts are different.
Okay.
But on our bike, we could say 350 AB, rear mudguard, rear tail lamp, rear indicator assemblies. They were the way how they are mounted is carryover.
All right.
And then the rear drums, we lost the inspection video, inspection hole for the rear brake liners. But
Okay.
you can still see there are some remnants of cast features on your rear drum plate.
Okay.
Where they, once upon a time there used to be inspection video for rear liners. The sprockets are
inspection window.
window
All right.
for rear liners.
All right.
And the sprocket is 350A. The chain sprocket is 350A.
350A.
It's not B.
It's not B.
Don't even go close
All
to
right,
it.
all
Okay,
right.
B,
350A.
when I say the real B, 521.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And
We got the gearbox and of course the sprocketing
Yes.
from A.
yes. And the swing arm, I would comfortably say swing arm is carryover.
Okay.
And we talked about the chassis
Yes, we
and
talked
the
about
main
it.
stand. If it matters to you, the main stand and the side stand is carryover design.
Okay.
But this is essentially it. This is what Indian RD350. So if someone puts out a blanket statement that this is a 350A, Indian RD350 had been put together by Yamaha for Indian market.
Frankenstein.
Otherwise they wouldn't have bothered to put 1A1 prefix. They would have put 360 or 521.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like the
yeah.
Lamaretta scooter, which people say was more or less imported in India,
Yes.
as it is,
Yes.
like a CBO but built in India.
Yes.
RD350 was custom made for India, using
Yes.
using existing parts to a price target.
Yes.
That's why Yamaha actually changed the prefix to in line with what they had on the design board. Then going back to
Yes.
1970.
1A1 like
So-
the RD400. Yes.
So to summarize, in many ways our bike is superior. We cannot say that
We got
RD350
yeah.
RD350A or B was the holy grail of air-cooled RD350s. It's not correct.
Yes.
If your Indian RD, HT or LT is in a pristine condition, in many ways and form it is a superior bike.
Wow.
Yeah,
Lovely.
minus the disc brakes, minus
course,
the famous
of course.
disc brake. However, if you're not worried about the brake fade due to multiple operation, the front drum brakes. Some cycle magazine actually tested a
Yes.
Suzuki.
We tried to
against-
put pictures over
some
screenshots.
stats
Yeah,
where
yeah.
they compared a drum brake with a disc brake once, and because of the slow response time of the disc brake, the drum brake was actually stopping quicker
than the disc brake RD.
But
Yes.
but it is drum brakes just like points are difficult to maintain. They
Yes,
get dirty.
yes.
They fade quickly if you are
Yes,
using multiple
yes.
time. Obviously,
See, I'm glad that you mentioned this, Gautam bhai. Why? Because Escorts and Yamaha, they get a lot of wrath unnecessarily, to be honest. Okay, by YouTubers, by in fact, even senior journalists, okay, who do not know anything about the RD350, okay, and they say that, oh, you know what, Escorts should have, given us a disc brake. I mean, yeah, they ideally should have, but then
they should have put CDI as well.
Yeah, exactly. But then the point is, please understand, then we would have never gotten the bike.
Yes.
Okay, at that point in time, when you have 4-speed gearboxes, okay, when you have ancient technology, motorcycles with ancient technology, okay, on our roads we have like Yazdis and Rajdoots, and of course, the ancient Royal Enfields. At that time, someone is trying to get a performance motorcycle, okay, and so we've been ungrateful, Gautam bhai.
Yeah.
Okay, that rather than appreciating what we are getting. Okay, and of course, like you love the RD, I love the RD, and here we are making this series wherein we will talk about things that were absolutely horrible. Okay, but we would not just follow the herd mentality that no, we should have gotten the disc brake, and we would not just harp about it.
Yeah.
Fine, we got the disc drum brake, we'll maintain it, or we'll get the aftermarket disc.
Yeah. So one thing before I forget about this point, that the drum brake was there just before on a 350cc Yamaha YR5. So if it would have been so bad,
Yes.
Yamaha wouldn't have bothered or wouldn't have taken it to a level where it becomes usable.
Yes.
So what happens that whenever a product is designed for a country, there is a product intention letter. That product intention letter describes what customer wants and what the local regulations are. If you ride your bike within those boundary conditions, you will find the front twin lead, not a single, not a crappy single lead, a drum brake from past which doesn't work. Yamaha drum brakes had been developed from the experience of GP bikes when they used to have drum brakes.
Yes.
It's not to be taken very lightly that is some crappy drum brake. It is not.
Exactly.
You can, if you follow the user manual, it is not forgiving like a disc brake.
Yes.
Disc brakes are far more forgiving, but if you tune the front drum brakes properly, it meets the product intention, product design letter, which is like, is the brake adequate for this bike and for this 95th percentile usage of the motorcycle?
Yes.
By all means, and then on many occasions it has been proven as well that it works very well. But again, going back, it's not forgiving. You have to know how to tune it, you have to know how to clean it and upkeep with
Exactly, like the disc brakes, to a large extent, they are not like, okay, we want, I have the bike and I would not even pay attention to it. Yeah. So at the same time,
it's not forfeited, fill it, shut it, forget
Absolutely,
it.
absolutely,
it is far more involving, like
True,
points.
true.
You want that crispness?
Yes.
Pick up your tools and get on with it. That is what it is.
True.
So yeah, so to summarize, going back to our original question, what the Indian RD350 is all about. So it is just to finish. It is not 360. It is not 521. It's been put together in best effort to give best value for money. And I'm thankful to Escorts to go to such a length to put together this bike for us, and we've been fortunate enough to flavor some of the heritage from the racing world, and some of the finalities of a good engineering, So that is it.
Great, and in fact, this again, reminds me of something. Whenever I see people talking about RD350, okay, and especially new YouTubers, okay, who somehow get someone who owns an RD350 and they request them to allow them to make a video, they would just they do not even know what Escorts was, so they would only talk about Yamaha. Whereas of course we need to put it out right there that it was Escorts, okay, who actually got the RD350.
And they did care. They did not leave the bike like to suffer. you could see by looking at many components that whenever there was a quality issue or supplier
Yes.
issue, they changed and upgraded the parts.
We
You know,
and we
made
will
with
talk
the-
about that as well.
Correct, made with the clutch basket, made with the exhaust. There are so many myths around the exhaust.
Yes, yes.
We are gonna make a proper video on that.
Yes,
and
yes.
We will.
We will be making videos, like I said, on almost every component of the motorcycle or every section of the motorcycle. For example, we'll have one on the engine, and even then we'll break it down. We'll have one on the top end, one on the crank, and so on and so forth. So yes, expect this series to break a lot of myths, to clear the air once and for all, and to help you understand the Indian RD350 much better. And overall, there are essentially two objectives, like I said in the introduction video, that we want to break the myths. Okay, we want to educate people that this is what the RD was and this is what the RD is even right now, and so that first of all, you get that knowledge. Number two, if you're planning to buy or restore or even run your RD, you should be able to do that. This whole series will help you be more knowledgeable about the RD350 and be more knowledgeable and conversant with your own machine if you have one. And so yeah, Gautam bhai, I guess this would be all for the first video, and thank you so much for your time and insights. And we'll be making a lot more videos on this, and if you have any questions, please put them in the comment section below. There is a lot more coming, trust me on that. Lot more content and of course videos, and we'll see you soon then. Thank you so much.
Thank you.